and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to show you how I cover up blemishes and acne scars, redness, spots, everything like that, things you want to cover on your face. I'm going to show you guys how I do it today. So normally in my tutorials and my videos, I just show it really quick how I do it, but I haven't shown you guys my little secret and my little technique and how to actually cover up blemishes. And it's something that I recently started doing like a few weeks ago, and it just changed my life because I have struggled with a lot of breakouts, a lot of blemishes, and I just, you know, did my same old like technique and my same routine, and I felt like it didn't cover it as well. So I'm going to show you a few things that would really change the way that you cover your blemishes, and I promise you guys this works so well. So without making this intro super long, I think we can just go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to start with is a primer, and this is the Makeup Forever Step 1 Smoothing Primer. When you use a smoothing primer, it can smooth over like some bumpy areas, because sometimes when you have blemishes, it can be a little bit bumpy and they can like stick out of the skin, and when you use a smoothing primer, it just kind of evens out and just smooths out the area. So I'm going to use the Makeup Forever one, and I'm just going to take a little bit. You do not need to use a lot of this product, and I'm just going to massage it between my fingers and then apply the places that I need it. So as you can see, this is my little problem area, so I'm just going to smooth it over just so it kind of becomes like one surface, so it isn't as bumpy. So for foundation, you can pretty much use whatever foundation that you want to, but I would recommend using a foundation or tinted moisturizer, because if you just go directly in with concealer, it's hard to make it look natural, because if you don't have like a even skin tone color like foundation would do, it can look a little bit unnatural. So it would actually look more natural if you apply a foundation and then concealer than just going in with a concealer, because you can really tell where you put that concealer, and that does not look good. So I first go in with a foundation. You can use a very light coverage if you want to, also you can use a full coverage. I'm going to go in with something right in between. This is a medium cover foundation from Bourjois. This is their healthy mix. And when you're choosing brush or a beauty blender, I would recommend using a brush when you have a lot of things to cover, because a brush has better coverage. You can of course use a beauty blender if you want to. I like to just kind of mix it, and I always like to have a beauty blender on hand. So I like to have some areas with the beauty blender, some areas with the brush, but you will get the best coverage with a brush. This is, by the way, the Real Techniques buffing brush. It's a very nice foundation brush. So I'm just going to apply an even layer all over my face, just how I would normally, you know, apply my foundation. Next up is of course concealer, and I'm going to go in with my favorite NYX HD Concealer. This is my favorite concealer to cover blemishes with, and it is extremely important that the concealer is really similar in the color to your foundation, because if you go lighter with your concealer, it will just not look as natural. This is extremely important, and I think a lot of people forget to do that. Sometimes you just use a light concealer and you just try to, you know, cover with it as well. But if you really want to cover something, you should definitely go in with a concealer that is the same color as your foundation or your face. So I'm going to just apply that right here. Places that I need a little bit of extra coverage. Also around my nose. So to blend in your concealer, this is also a very important step that normally I used to just use a beauty blender and just blend it in. But if you just use a beauty blender, it will just take away a little bit of the coverage, and it would just not make sense. Like, it would just not cover as well. So I would recommend using a brush, and my favorite type of brush to use with this is a brush like this. This is just a very cheap eBay brush. It's from the brand 6+. But these are just like a mini foundation buffing brush, and they are amazing to blend in concealer. So I am just going to really lightly just top that over, and honestly this is probably one of the most important steps in this. If you really want to cover it, you should definitely use a brush like this to blend it out. This is better than using a finger, your beauty blender. I do not normally use this little brush underneath my eyes. I don't mind using a beauty blender underneath my eyes. I actually prefer it. So for my under eyes, I'm going to go in with my beauty blender to blend it out. Then I'm just going to set my face just like I would always do. This is my Rimmel Stay Matte Powder. And when it comes to applying powder, you don't want to sweep it around. You just want to pat it in. That's when you got to get the best result. And now we're going to move on to the most important part in this new technique that I've tried. It's so important, and this will really change everything on how your concealer is going to be covered. So a lot of times if I feel like my foundation didn't give enough coverage, I just can see a few things just shining through. I don't know if you can see it, but you can just see a little bit of a dark hue, like right here. You can just see a little bit of a dark spot, even though I have covered, and it does look, you know, covered and stuff like that. But if you really want it to be covered, use a foundation powder on top. This is my favorite. This is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Ultra Definition Powder Foundation. That's a long name. I use the color Light Warm, and you want to use a color that is similar to your skin, as similar as you can get it. Not too light. That's always a key thing. Not too light. So I'm going to go in with this powder, and I'm just going to use it with the same brush as I used with the concealer. And I'm just going to put it in the powder foundation, and this is such a life changer. It's so easy, and like, you probably wouldn't think about it, but it is so easy, and I'm going to show you guys how much of a difference it actually makes. So here you can see that little dark spot. So can you guys see it now? I really can't see it. It covered it so well. I actually just hit pan on this powder. That means I've used it a lot, because I don't use foundation powders as like setting powders or anything like that. I think it's too cakey. So I just use a regular powder. Then going with a small brush, then foundation powder on the places that I need it. I'm just gonna quickly do my face makeup just because I know you guys wouldn't mind me doing that. So also when you're doing the rest of your makeup, you wanna kind of avoid the places that you have a lot of, you know, coverage. So right here, I don't apply too much and rub it around. I try to kind of stay away from that area. But if you have like a lot of blemishes like right here, I would just more like press it in like this, and not like sweep it like this, because that would just take away a little bit of the coverage, and you don't want that when you want to actually cover something. So I'm just using this MIYO Sunkissed bronzer. I haven't used this one in so long, but as you can see, I've hit pan on it, so I love it. You guys, I've been so much more into more natural highlight. I know that is crazy because I used to use like such intense highlighters, and I probably will continue doing that. If I had to like choose like every single day when I do my makeup, I always went with the natural one over a intense one. I don't know what it is. I just think it looks better. So this one from Hourglass, this is their Luminous Light Ambient Lighting Powder. I love it for a natural highlight. Ah, that's so pretty. So the last thing I want to do is setting spray, and I'm just going to set that like normal. Don't apply too much setting powder on this area. Just have like a light mist over it because you don't want it to look wet and just to kind of mess around. So I'm just going to use a little bit. Setting spray is like must have. By the way, this lip color that I'm on right now is Skinny Dip from Gerard Cosmetics. Oh, this is probably my favorite color ever. So that, guys, is actually it for this video. I really hope that it helped you guys a little bit, and I know the tips are really easy, but sometimes it's just a few changes you have to do to actually get the result that you want. I know just myself, I normally just apply my foundation and concealer and just everything with my beauty blender, and the finish is amazing. You get a really nice finish with a beauty blender, but it doesn't cover as well. So especially for problem areas like blemishes, acne spots, acne scars, redness, you know, things like that, they really want to cover, go in with a little brush like this. And it's very important that the concealer is the same color as your foundation, and you want to set it with a foundation powder. Let me know if you guys try this technique and if it works for you. I would love to know, because it works so nice for me and is my favorite way to cover up blemishes. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.